of times in snow, well, ice, whatever, it's 10 degrees. There's no ice, but it's mainly snow. You would think people would slow down when they're driving and go a little bit slow. But you have people in usually bigger trucks, 18-wheelers, four-wheel drives, all-wheel drives that think they can still drive their normal way until they hit a patch of ice. And then it becomes a different type of driving experience. And people that still just cut corners and stop on a dime. They don't alter their driving at all because in reality, they don't have any driving skills. And what I mean by people with no driving skills, they think that they can turn the corners the same. A lot of people, when they just normally drive, they cut corners. They cut the corners short. But they don't know that's what causes them to go into a spin. Now, when I turn corners, especially left-hand turns across people, I turn on the 90 degree. One of these days, I'll make a video and show you what I'm talking about. But when you slow down and make your 90 degree turn using your A-pillars, you don't have any problems with sliding. It's people that try to cut the corners that the wheels don't catch traction, lose traction by brake, and they wind up sliding through the intersection and into the ditch or places they don't want to go. Now, I'm a firm believer of driving within the limitations of your vehicle, but if you think you can just hop into a car that's either suitable for racing or suitable for driving in the mud, the snow, and you think that's going to make you a better driver, it's not. Still got to know how to handle it. Still got to know what you're doing. And people are right. You know, you get a heavier vehicle, you get wider tires, you get out here on some of this snow like the roads are today, you got better chances of traction, but you can still slide off the road if there's patches of ice underneath. Look at the reality. When you get into some mud, sometimes you slip and you slide. If you slip and slide enough to where you get stuck in a ditch or off into the ditch, you still slid. You got a better chance of getting out if you're in that rather than your everyday average vehicle. You can call this the Hoth Walk number 2. But it's actually not too bad out here. The road is covered with snow. It's kind of packed with snow because nobody's cleaned it off. I'm over here in the neighborhood. Just watching Buffalo and Pittsburgh. And Buffalo just tearing up Pittsburgh right now. And that takes me to one thing is sports fans, pretty much sports fans in general are a lot of anti. And what I mean by anti is like you have specific people who are fans of one team, but yet you still see specific people that are haters of one team. Like, they won't post about the teams they love so much. They're more anti, and they post about the teams they hate more than the teams that they like. And I really don't understand that. But you look at society and how people bully others. Do you guys think that's a form of bullying? When you hate on a team or you hate on an organization so much that you post more about that than the things that you like? Put that in the comments. Speaking of hate, let's get into talking about this new Dodge Daytona. I've taken the time to watch a few videos where people talk about the new Dodge Daytona, the EV that just came out. They're showing, like behind the scenes pictures or whatever. And a lot of criticism on it because the body shape is kind of square. To me, that's always been kind of the Dodge story with all the cars going even back to the 70s and 60s. They were always a little bit, to me, they were a little bit more square than other brands. And that comes down to front ends and the back ends and way around the corners. There's a lot of square corners, almost like cracker boxes. Even like the Dodge Ram pickups were more square than like Chevrolet or Ford. Some people refer to Chevys as being more square. They even have the name of the box Chevy. but that was in a later year. So taking like the Challengers now, look at the front ends on those, and they still have a representation of a square front end that gives throwback to the old Challengers. Even the back end is still a little square, and you're talking about a car that's 2023 still being a little bit square. So I can understand where they come from, but I also understand in the car market that they need a base model car to build off of. And what I'm hoping is to spend more time underneath the hood and in the interior of those cars to build those cars up in the later years. Because the body style they have out, well, the body style that we've seen currently, I expect maybe 3 or 4 years before they make another change. Probably 2 years to make another interior change, or some things that go wrong once it hits the market. And you have lots more people, lots more different environments driving those on the regular. So you see some changes in the first 2 years, different modifications, and then probably a body style change in that first 4 years, and a lower production run of those cars that created more of a demand. And I base that off of is the 6th generation Chargers and the Magnums. When they came up with those LX series cars, they produced a lot of those cars. Well, maybe 15,000 Chargers between 2006 and 2010. 15,000 SRT Chargers, not regular Chargers. But understand, it's like I said in another video, they're producing these cars, they're mass producing them, and it's not going to be too many special things about them besides changing interior parts or changing horsepower and the levels between them. It's like I said, it's hard to come out with a car that's pictured as a daily driver as opposed to a supercar or a specialty type of car like a Corvette or a Lamborghini. So it's a totally different market. But I wonder what the markup or the price is going to be as in comparison to the 2023 Dodge cars, last calls and what have you. That's what's going to be interesting, because these cars are going to kind of determine the specific value, the specific classic value later, 20 years later, 25 years down the road. I do think we should give it some time. I mean, you can come out with a judgment right away that it's ugly, doesn't really look that great, and look back at like a Mustang in 1980, 81, 82, and you kind of liked it, but you really didn't like it. And then in 86, 87, and 88, they really started to dial in the body styles between LXs and GTs. Sometimes these manufacturers just need time to mature a little bit in the brands of the cars, or the models of the cars. So I'll give it some time and see what happens. I'm not going to be in a rush to buy, but I can guarantee you there's going to be an influx of people that want to be pioneers, and they're going to step into these electric cars, and they're going to do some exciting things with them and start putting some of these 22s and 23s to shame. And I'm talking about specifically the Hellcats, the Scat Packs. And you'll see innovators with those electric cars that will significantly devalue the later or the last calls. And you'll see some excitement within the market with those innovators, whether they're paid innovators or people like, the later years of Carroll Shelby, doing the things with Mustangs and the other cars. You'll have guys like that, rest in peace to him. But we'll see more innovators and people come up to do several different things with the cars that will open that market up and convince people to start performance in the electric field. I want to know your thoughts. Leave in the comments. Let me know. I have planned to do another little talk, but I'll put it in a later video So I'm gonna go inside and warm up, watch the rest of these playoff games, and I'll get with you guys in the next video.